Welcome to Visa Verge News, where we bring you the latest updates on global immigration and trade dynamics. Today, we're diving into an important topic: the ongoing trade negotiations between the United States and India. Recent talks between the two nations have led to significant developments, including India reducing tariffs on certain key products. Joining me to break this down is my co-host, William.
Thanks, Victoria. Yes, these developments have been making waves following recent remarks by President Donald Trump. He claimed that India agreed to reduce tariffs after his administration called them out on their trade practices. It's certainly adding a new dimension to the U.S.-India trade relationship.
Exactly. Trump's comments, made during an address on March 7, 2025, highlighted India's decision to lower tariffs on goods like bourbon whiskey, cutting them from 150% to 100%. William, this isn't just about whiskey, though. It's part of a broader framework to strengthen economic ties between the two countries.
That's right. Both nations are working under the initiative dubbed Mission 500, which aims to double bilateral trade to $500 billion by 2030. This ambitious goal includes negotiating a bilateral trade agreement, with the first rounds of discussions expected to start by fall 2025. But there's also some tension. Trump announced reciprocal tariffs on Indian imports, which are scheduled to take effect on April 2nd, 2025.
A bold move by the White House. These reciprocal measures were introduced to counter India's historically high tariff barriers. Trump described the situation during his address, saying, "India charges us massive tariffs. Massive! You can't even sell anything in India." He argued that his policies are finally compelling India to reconsider its trade practices.
India's response to these accusations has been measured, though. Spokesperson Randhir Jaiswal reaffirmed India's focus on lowering barriers and enhancing market access through the bilateral trade agreement. Similarly, Indian Commerce Minister Piyush Goyal traveled to the U.S. to negotiate balanced terms. It's clear both sides are motivated to solidify economic ties, albeit under some pressure.
Let's talk specifics then. Alongside bourbon whiskey, India has expressed willingness to lower tariffs on motorcycles and perhaps even electric vehicles. For instance, American brands like Harley-Davidson stand to gain, although many models are sourced from non-U.S. plants. The same applies to electric vehicles from manufacturers like Tesla. These are positive trends, even if the immediate impact may be limited.
True, and that limitation reflects broader structural issues in the trade relationship. Experts argue that focusing on isolated product-specific tariff cuts, like motorcycles or bourbon, won't fully address larger trade imbalances. Factors like freight costs, supply chains, and existing sourcing habits still present challenges. For example, much of the whiskey India imports comes from bottling hubs in Europe, not directly from American exporters.
Good point. Beyond tariffs, though, there's a bigger strategic picture at play. The India-US trade relationship is evolving in areas like technology, critical minerals, and clean energy. Both nations are advancing collaborative initiatives such as the US-India Trust Program on Technology and the Strategic Clean Energy Partnership. These efforts highlight the growing geopolitical alignment between the two countries.
Those broader initiatives do matter. For instance, the Critical Minerals Agreement aims to secure supply chains for resources like lithium, which are essential for high-tech industries. Meanwhile, the Trust Initiative is advancing shared goals in artificial intelligence and innovation. These partnerships signal deeper economic and strategic integration, making the trade negotiations even more significant.
Absolutely. Still, challenges remain. Supply chain considerations and long-standing trade barriers mean a truly reciprocal trade relationship could take years to develop. But William, do you think India's recent tariff reductions represent a meaningful shift?
I'd say it's a cautious but notable step. Specific cuts, like reducing bourbon tariffs, indicate progress, but we're far from resolving the deeper issues. The full impact will rely on sustained negotiations, especially with reciprocal tariffs looming next year. That said, both nations are clearly motivated to reach more comprehensive agreements.
Agreed. The coming months will be critical, especially as negotiation frameworks for the bilateral trade agreement unfold by fall 2025. For now, it's a delicate balancing act of progress and persistence. Any final thoughts before we wrap up?
just that these developments have global implications. The strengthening of US-India trade ties could set benchmarks for future trade models, while also reinforcing partnerships within the Indo-Pacific. It's certainly a dynamic relationship to watch closely.
Well said. That's all for today's episode of Visa Verge News. Thank you for joining us as we unpack the evolving US-India trade relationship and its global significance. For more immigration and trade updates, visit us at visaverge.com. See you next time.